Hello, and welcome to this video by Dream Big. Today we're going to be discussing standardized testing, specifically the SAT versus the ACT. Hello everyone, my name is Rahul Ravi, and you can learn more about the college admissions process by joining Dream Big. You can contact us at dreambigorg2021@gmail.com or learn more about us at our website, dreambigforcollege.org. So let's get started. What are the standardized testing options that students have to take? So there are two options. The Scholastic Assessment Test, more commonly abbreviated as the SAT, and this is administered by the College Board, and it can also be used for the National Merit Scholarship Program, which we'll get into in a future video. And it's important to note that subject SAT tests have been completely canceled and abandoned by College Board. And then there's also the American College Testing, also known as the ACT, and this is administered by a totally different organization. So let's take a quick moment to compare the two tests, the SAT versus the ACT. So the reason to take these tests are the same. It can be used for admissions and merit-based scholarships. Recently, there have been some changes in it due to the pandemic. So we'll get into that on a future video about what test optional and test blind means in terms of colleges viewing your test scores. But the test structure does remain different for the two tests. For SAT, it goes from reading to writing to math. Or for the ACT, it goes from English to math to reading to science, and then there's an optional essay. For the SAT, there used to be an essay, but they recently removed it. So the length is 3 hours for the SAT, and then it can vary for the ACT depending on whether or not you take the essay, but it goes around the same length. So there is no science section on the SAT, but on the ACT, they have a science section that tests critical thinking about data, not specific science knowledge off the top of your head. The math, as you may notice, is more complicated on the ACT as it has probability and statistics, and overall the problems can be a bit more complicated. The calculator is allowed on all the ACT questions, but only on one of the two math sections on the SAT. As I mentioned earlier, the SAT no longer administers the essay, while the ACT still does. The SAT has a scoring scale from 400 to 1600, while the ACT scores their test from 1 to 36. 1600 and 36 are perfect scores on the tests, respectively. So let's get a bit more detailed into the components of the SAT exam. The SAT exam has 4 different sections and, of course, no essay again. The reading section, you have to answer 52 questions in 65 minutes. For the writing section, 44 questions in 35 minutes. The math section, first section with no calculator, 20 questions in 25 minutes. The with calculator section, 38 questions in 55 minutes. And so that ends up being around 154 questions in 180 minutes. On the other hand, let's take a look at the ACT. The ACT, we have 75 questions in 45 minutes, 60 questions in 60 minutes for math, and 40 questions in 35 minutes for reading, and 40 questions in 35 minutes again for science. So for the essay, it's 40 minutes and just one essay to write. And overall, what you may notice in the differences between the ACT and SAT when comparing the question to time ratio is that the ACT test is more fast-paced. And these are just some factors to consider when deciding whether you should choose to take the SAT or the ACT. Thank you for watching this video where we compared the ACT and the SAT. If you have any questions, feel free to put in the comments section and we'll be sure to get back to you as soon as possible. You can join our group chat at the link provided. You can visit our website at dreambigforcollege.org and contact us at our email. And our next video will be looking at how should you decide about whether you should take the SAT or the ACT. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.